Good morning, chaps. How's it going? Good morning, dealers. Kenny Powers, my man. Morning, Matty. Morning, Nick. The demo trader. How you doing, chaps? Everybody good? I didn't do anything yesterday. Didn't get a trade. Didn't see any setups. Thought it was a tough day, really. But I was thinking about a long. I was thinking about getting long yesterday at one point. The sequence looked okay. Let me just get these off. Let me just take these off. So let's just have a look at what happened yesterday. Has anybody... Yeah, so Nick's pointed out that huge candle on the 5 minute. Absolutely massive, isn't it? What I did like though is how we just dropped through it, and I've said about this strategy before, just jumping on board the first move out of that IB. Now this is going like mega short term here. But have you seen how we just fake out through that low? Like that move technically happened so many times. And I'm talking about this bit here. This bit. Look at the risk reward you can get on these types of setups here if we dip through. And like you could say, like if we go through and get one green candle back through, that's your entry long, or dip through and get one close back through like that. If you look at that there, have a look at that for risk reward. So let's just say your entry is 65s, your stop would be at 54s, and you're looking for like 2 or 3 times your risk, and you're just taking that run up. Lovely trade, really is. I wish that somebody could get a mechanical algo or something like that to fade that first move out, because it's high probability that the first move gets faded. You just need to give yourself an entry. Get yourself an indicator to get you an entry when it happens, and to set up a risk reward profile for the trade. I am sure that would absolutely kill it, that first move fade. Have a look at it, guys. Seriously, it's worth doing. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Nils, Steve, Dave. How are you doing? Indices are slowly sinking. They are, right, but have a look at this. The old fabled technical pattern of the cup and handle is in play in the DAX. As you can see, can anybody see this, or am I just daydreaming it? Look at that. There's your cup. There's your handle. And then obviously you're expecting expansion. Now, I don't read stock charts for dummies. I did when I first started off, but that was one of the patterns that was definitely in there. So who knows, that it could play out. We might just steam through these highs here and potentially nip up to this point here, and it could expand up. I think that would be the measured move of it. So let's just get rid of these lines first of all. So can everybody see that? It just sticks out to me. I don't trade them or anything like that, but you can clearly see, can't you, that would be the top of the cup there at that point. So there's your cup, there's your handle, and then if we expand out of it, where's the measured move going to take us? Because these patterns, I know it's like people say, oh, the rubbish or whatever, but they might work. And look, the measured move target takes us right to that high there. So I'm not trading off that. I'm not going to get an entry off that. I will stick to my strategy, but it's definitely something that I will keep in mind, because it could potentially play out. I do like how the Dow was over this level as well yesterday. I don't know if you can see that level. I was looking at this yesterday as a trap on my live account. I tried to get not on my live account, on my normal account. I tried to get a little scalp in this area here because I thought that this was going to be a trap into these highs. The first time I had a go and it sort of worked, and the second time I got stopped out for break even on it. But it's just a little scalp account, that is, so it's not. I didn't earn any money off it or anything like that. But I'm just not including it on any of these trades because I don't really. I'm not earning, the bulk of my earnings does not come from that account. It comes from how I trade my 5 minute strategy, and I don't want to obviously confuse everybody. I was thinking to myself yesterday, at this point here, if you look at that there, them clean highs there, I was thinking, right, we're going to go up there and we're going to fail, or we're going to trap some bulls there, and we did. It was a perfect spot. But as this leg drove up, I've told you about them drives where you just get a right drive into a line. I was expecting that to be a trap and us to fall back down, but it was this consolidation here that sort of threw me out, and I ended up getting stopped out for break even on it and scratched out of it, and then it actually did go and the trade did work. So if I would have just stuck to it, but that's all hindsight trading. But I was trying to short this on with a little scalp, and I was trying to short this with a little scalp here, but obviously we're above that level now. We are above that level, and I would say that's quite a big deal. I would. I know it's not come from actual trade, cash sessions trade, and we've moved up with a gap up really. But if we open above that line today in the US markets, especially on the Dow, I would expect us to try and either consolidate or have a push higher, because that's a big level to me. If we open up back beneath that level and this gap up fails for whatever reason this morning, then that's mega bearish, and I would then expect these lows to get tested here. But you know how it is with these markets, they just always seem to bounce back somehow. So like yesterday, this thing looks like an absolute pile of shit. The close yesterday, after we failed and trapped all the bulls into this bin, you're thinking, right, tomorrow, this thing's really going to crack off. You know, like we could well be down here if this leg expands. But, you know, they just do it overnight again, and overnight we get the move up, and all of a sudden, bulls find themselves, they wake up, you know, like this morning in America, and they're above, you know, the danger zone. So I just don't see why we couldn't possibly push up. That's what I'm thinking for my base case. It just seems like they've done it again, and they've last night I thought they'd dropped the ball at 10 to 9 o'clock. I was thinking bulls are done here, this looks horrendous, but you wake up and it's like miraculously everything's been saved. So we'll see what happens. No, Dave, I haven't done the Bitcoin video yet. I did it yesterday, right? This is the craziest thing. I actually recorded it yesterday, and I'm going to have to do it on my desktop, because when I did it on OBS, it didn't save into my Mac, so I don't know what the hell's going on. But I did like it was like 8 or 9 minutes. I did it all really well. I didn't want to edit it, you see, so I tried to just do it like I'm doing a live. So it wasn't that I didn't want to edit it all and, you know, have things, what do you call it now, where you've got to stitch it all together and stuff like that. I thought I could just do it all live. So I did it, an 8-minute video going through it. Thought, brilliant, that looks okay, like I've done a good job here. And then OBS hasn't saved it in my videos, and I had like 3 attempts at it, and the last one was good. So then when I went and checked into my saved videos on my Mac, they're not there. I can't find them anywhere, and it's not in the OBS software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to attach my microphone and my camera again to my desktop, because my desktop has Windows editing software, and I think it's got more memory and stuff like that, so I can save it in my desktop. So I'll do that today. But I had done it. I did actually do it, and it was alright. So I'm sorry about that, but hopefully it'll be out today. I need to get this Bitcoin video out. But good morning. So did anybody get a trade on yesterday? Was anybody on the Dow or the DAX? I'll show you what I was thinking on the DAX. I didn't actually get a trade on. Nothing for me. And this is a good part of my trading. I am quite disciplined when it comes to this, because yesterday it was a bit of a tease, this market was. And I'll just show you what I was thinking and how I traded my strategy through it. So we had the high of the IB, which is there, and we had the low of the IB, which is there. Okay, so can everybody see that? That's the high, that's the low. So obviously I'm looking for longs above. Now when we get this breakout here, because I say all the time, if you don't know, the first move out tends to be a sucker's move, right? Unless it's an open drive, which this isn't, and it happened again. We sucked back into the initial balance. But then we get this candle here, this candle. Now this was interesting to me. I was thinking, right, we're gonna get a setup here. But there was no structure for me to sort of lean on outside of balance to be a decent breakout, if you know what I mean. And I don't like to buy the drives just straight out of it. I just think that that's a losing strategy. I like to always buy a pullback. So we then get the pullback here. The pullback happens, and I'm thinking, right, this is perfect. I can use this level here, this level, as my breakout area to jump on long. But what I'm still going to need is some type of momentum that breaks these highs. Or I'm still going to need some momentum that breaks these highs. Like, I want to see somebody that's willing to step in and buy the market. But it never happened. If you're looking at all of these candles here, every single one, none of them screamed out to me as being a buy, as any part of my strategy. And if you look at that high there, how we got above it just didn't feel right. And I actually pointed out to 2 or 3 people that this was highly likely a trap. Now, I should have traded it. Of course I should have. I actually pointed it out to 2 people yesterday when it happened at 11:10 that this was highly probable that this was going to be a trap, and we were at least going to go back into balance. And we did. We absolutely steamed. I think we even touched the yeah, because that's 655 in it. So yeah, we did. We clipped the bottom of balance yesterday at 245. Now, could I have traded that? Yes. Did I see it setting up as a trap? Yes. Did I make any money from it? No. I made no money from it. So, by sticking to my strategy today and, like not going with the bias of my stomach, I didn't make any money again today. Tuesday, sorry, when I should have made that big trade and, I didn't stick to my strategy. I made no money again. So this is the thing, you get stuck in this doom loop. And you're either trading mechanically or you're trading off your bias. Now, yesterday my bias said that was a definite short there. It did. It told me that I needed to be short. But because it wasn't part of my strategy, I didn't take it. So I've stuck to my strategy yesterday and made no money. And then on Tuesday, I didn't stick to my strategy and I made no money. So this is the thing, like, you've got to do one or the other. And it's the doom loop. But same as say, I managed to keep myself out of the long, so I'm very happy with that. But can everybody see that what a great short setup that was there? This point there. If you look at it, as we rotate up through those highs there, that just screams at me as being a massive trap. Like, it just felt like there was no strength there at all in this leg up. Look how like up and down it was. It just was so like weak. And then we clip through and we pin it. And then for me, that's just such a good short. Should have been short, but I stuck to my strategy yesterday and I earned no money. So there you go, guys. But yeah, if anybody got that short, point it out in the group because it was a great trade. It really did set up lovely. But I kept myself out of the long and didn't get stopped out. I was thinking in this area here, if we would have had a full green candle that showed me that someone was willing to push prices higher, I would have potentially stepped in long, definitely. But I saved it, I didn't do it, stuck to my strategy. So there you go. Tell me what you think, guys. Have a look at that for a short setup. It's just so nice. They happen quite a lot as well. But this leg here, this is the key to that. The leg here. This leg. Look how soft and weak it looks. Now, if you screamed into it from this level here with all green candles and then pinned, that would potentially be a short as well. The ones that I don't like are where it hits it and then it just consolidates bullishly underneath the level like that, and you get in like green candles that are full underneath, and then it'll go. Like, a lot of the time I find that that's when they're going to take it out and the shorts are going to get trapped rather than the longs that were trapped here. So yeah. So it's interesting. I am up on my account. It's the end of month today. It's the end of quarter, isn't it? So I am expecting some volatility of some sort, guys. Hopefully we can jump on it, but who knows? Everybody says that, I've seen it everywhere on Twitter. It's like end of the month. It's Q3. Sometimes you can just do nothing. High probability that we do something though, but don't come in expecting anything. Let's just see what happens and go with the flow if it does. That's what I'm going to do today. Just draw this IB back in on this 5-minute chart and get rid of that so we know what we're looking at. But yeah, what a big 5-minute candle that is. Huge. Mark, I took that short, just described it on the S&P. Right, so you were short there, were you? Same as me. I thought you were smashing that edge yesterday. Yeah, Ed, sorry dude, it didn't set up. I didn't get the setup with my strategy, so I couldn't take anything. It's just one of them, isn't it? You've got to keep your powder dry. It's how it goes sometimes. But that was, like when I was watching that setup yesterday on the DAX, I was 90% positive that it was going to obviously be a trap. Should have risked it, but then I would have had to come on here and tell everybody this wasn't part of my strategy, and I've made money on it. But what does that open the door up to? If you're willing, I don't know. I've heard a lot of the time that the best traders are the ones that can, even though they have a strategy, they know when to not, or when to not use it, when to enter with another entry. But for me, that's always been a trigger. Once I've stepped away from a strategy, it opens up a box of, you get in the doom loop, don't you? So next time that sets up, and I try and short it again, but my strategy is telling me to get long, but my bias is saying to short it, then all of a sudden you're back in that doom loop again. So it's just about making sure you stick to something, whatever it is, you've got to stick to it. Kerim, what you describe of how price approaches behaves around the breakout reminds me a lot of how Bob Vullman describes price action. I haven't read any of his stuff, but for me that's a massive pointer. If something's consolidating underneath a level, which is supposed to be a trap, this is how I look at it, right? Traps don't mess around, because if you're trapping somebody at the highs, a lot of the time it just happens and you trap them, and then the market makes them puke pretty quickly. I don't like the ones where the market goes up to the level, doesn't go through the level straight away, and it just sits there underneath it and just consolidates. Like, they're the types that worry me. I much prefer a fast leg up to a level and then a failure. And then, yeah, it can mess around a little bit underneath, but I don't want to see it mess around before it goes and takes the high. I need to see a decent move up, or a leg up, like a fresh leg up that looks weak. If you understand that. I think that's what we had yesterday, but I just don't want to see any consolidation right underneath the level, if you know what I'm saying. Have you ever used ticks rather than time candles? I have, Mark. Yeah, I've always preferred time though. I don't know why. Are you trading off a tick chart? Are you? If you are, let us know what's the what chart you on, what tick chart you on. Interesting. Did you get this trade this morning, Mark? Let me just point it out to you. I don't know if you're in at the start of the day. Did you get this fade here underneath this IB? Underneath this candle? That just screamed out at me. I was watching that this morning thinking that's going to definitely reverse here. Especially when I saw this close here. This move out and then this close through. Like, whatever indicator you throw on that chart there, guys, whatever indicator, whether it's a Bollinger Band, whether it's a moving average, they all work. And it's like I've said to you before, it's the context of them. You can throw a moving average on there. Like, look at, if you just take the move through and then the cross back up, back through balance, once we close back into balance, this cross here with the stop underneath, you could get an entry. So the moving averages, they work. The context is there. The context is what's worked. You could use a Bollinger Band there and take the Bollinger Band breakout here. So you've dipped through the back of balance, you've closed back in, you've got your Bollinger Band entry there. You could put your stop here or your stop there, and you've made money. You know, like it's a winning strategy. I know this is only just one one example of it, but I'm sure if you backtest and then build a risk reward profile into this context of this trade, you will make money. You will do. You could even just say, once we break out that high there, you don't need any indicators, and you break that high there like so. Just trying to offer somebody like any potential trade setups that you've got that you want to work around and open of the DAX. If you just look at that high, let me just get rid of this, I don't know what's going on with it. There. So if you look at that there, you can see that we've closed through the bottom of balance, this point here, we've closed through. You'd want a solid close through. For that, in order for it to be a trap, I think you need a solid close through. So you get your solid close through, you get your close back above, and then you take out the high, of the, Mark calls it taking the roof off it, but he'd probably be waiting for the retest. I think the breakout there, just that solid green candle that breaks the roof of this trade block. If you put your stop beneath there and you're holding for 2 or 3 hours or something like that, I think that's a very good trade. Like, that could be a mechanical setup for somebody. It really could. If you're struggling and you're losing money or you can't get a strategy together, just focus on little nuances like that and put them together with the right risk reward sequence, and you'll come up with something. I don't know if that helps anybody. I imagine that there's a few, like the win rate might be about 45%, 40%, something like that. But I think if you can build a 2 or 3 to 1 risk reward into it, it's potentially a profitable strategy. Definitely that balance fade. So you were short at the open. Don't know if I'm reading that right. Example of ticks over time for scalping get much better tighter stops. Right, you do you? So you are using a tick chart then, Mark. Awesome. Use both, okay. Let me just move back over this, have a look at it. Your bottom of IB is right on the daily pivot. Let's have a look at that. This is another strategy, right? Pivot points for me. Right, so my pivot point might be a bit different than yours. I've got IG pivot points on the daily, and that's how they work them out. Let's just see if there's a different one. Right, let's go back to there and take all the R3s and R2s off. Let me just show somebody this and see if it's still on, because pivot points are actually quite good. Let's get the historical ones on. Yeah. Now, with a pivot point, right, I think if you built an algo where you just faded the first move through a pivot point with a close back beneath it whenever it happens, like, look at that there. You get your move for your pivot point, and it just screams like a trap to me, and it like looks like a riff on it. Like, look at the risk reward you could have had off that move there. They don't work all the time, but I imagine if you built the right risk reward into it again, you could definitely do quite well. Like, that would have been a losing trade there. Just take the first one. So where I think where people go wrong with indicators is they'll try and like think that they've got to take every single one. Like, you know, you'd be short there, then it goes through, then you'd be trying to get long. I always find the first move of the day into an indicator or out of a balance area, or you know, like you might get a moving average crossover into a resistance area. It's the first one. Like, the rest of them are just noise. You want to just take the first one and that's it, and forget it. And then it either works or it doesn't. And you either make money on that day or you don't. And you either get your risk reward or you don't. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. I think that's where a lot of people sort of go wrong with pivot. Like, look at that there. Rotate down, close through, green candle the other side, your stop goes beneath. You know, you've made money. Could you have built a decent risk reward into that trade? Yes, you definitely could have. So let's say your entry was there, your risk is there. How many R's could you have had? 1. Sorry, just delete that. Let me just duplicate it again. 2, 3, 4, right? So potentially there's 4 R there, and potentially on the other one over that we've just seen, this one here, how many R's are there? 10, 11? So is that a profitable strategy? Just off those 2 trades there, I would say that there's definitely something there. Just fading the first pump into a pivot point. Does it work all the time? No, definitely not. It doesn't. Does it make massive big R winning trades when you get it right? It definitely does. So can somebody build something and use that as part of the strategy? How many R's have you got there? Like, seriously, it's ridiculous. But just take the first one, and it either works or it doesn't. Don't get caught up into thinking like if it's not worked the first one, you've got to sit there and try and trade every move out of it or into it. That's not how it works. You've got the context set up. Look how many R's you've got there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So I would suggest that is a winning strategy on its own. Just using a trap into a pivot point. I don't use that, but it's something, if it can help people out, 1 trade a day, you know, like you build some R profile into it where you might, you know, take 3R, 4R and leave the rest on till close. And if it comes back after 2 or 3R, you stop yourself out for break even. Something like that. Build that, have a look at it and see if you can make money from it. I bet you can over the period of a year. I bet it's up rather than down. Because same as say, if you get in the big winning trades like that where you're getting big R and you can hold, you will definitely make money if you're just going to give the market 1 R when you're wrong. This DAX isn't doing anything. Let's just go back to these comments, guys. Fibs ahead of pivots for me. Yeah. I mean, use whatever you think is good. Fade the spike into R2 or S2, 10-point risk, Nick Gordon. So you trade pivot points then, Nick, do you? You're using the R2 and S2 with a 10-point risk, right? Using the cash pivots. Interesting. Is that something that you do mechanically then, Nick, or is that something that you'll just be looking at it as in you're going to fade it? Are you waiting for an entry trigger, a close back above, or you know, like what you're looking for? Will you just hit the R2 as it hits it? As we grind into R2, are you just hitting that? Or are you waiting for a, you know, like a close below and then a close back above to be some type of trap? Only recently started using ticks again, been on time base for some time, but a couple of months back added ticks again. Yeah, I mean, obviously, whatever you can use that you can see an edge with. Everybody's brain sees things differently, don't they? So you've got to use what you see. You really have. And if ticks work with you and you feel more comfortable on them, then definitely use ticks. I'm just more of a time based person. I like to like look at the time, and I feel that the markets, how I've seen them, the markets for me, I seem like 11 o'clock comes, 10:30 comes, and you get a push at that particular time. So I just think that I like to use time, and that's it really. That's why I do, because you sort of can see the pushes coming at certain times of the day. And I like to use time as a support and resistance. Like for me, the 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. on the IB are quite important to my strategy. So that's time based for me. So I look at time as a support and resistance area, and then I use like a 9 o'clock close. So I'm more time based with my strategy, personally. Kurt, what do you think of euro dollar H1 consolidating beneath the level? Let's have a look. .1 hour. Let's just have a look. Onto workspace. I think the pivot points are still up on it, aren't they? What are you thinking? You're thinking this here, this consolidation? It looks horrendous, doesn't it? It does look horrendous. It really does. I'm not the type of guy to jump in and buy that ever. It just doesn't. Are you talking about this level here that's been swept? I think it will be. I think. So I think Kurt's talking about this level here being swept, and then this consolidation just beneath the level. Kurt, it could turn out to be an absolutely amazing trade. Obviously, you know, like you've swept this double bottom here. You've had a good move down into it as well, which is always a good sign. Like I said, if we were consolidating just above this level, you know, like then I wouldn't be very happy, because I'd be thinking we could drop again. But we've had a real nice big move into the level. Now, you know, like that could be a great spot. That could, Kurt. It really could. It's a nice looking trade. That would. I wouldn't trade that myself. It's not part of what I'd be doing. But good luck to you. I can see exactly what you're thinking. The breakout of this box here would be interesting. Let's have a look if it ties in with the 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. close, which I think it does. Yeah, so let's have a look at this, see if we can put our strategy onto this. So I would be looking at the 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. block, trade block, which is there. No, it's this one. That's the high. Yeah, there, like so. So for me, that would be interesting here. You know, like we've managed to go through the 7 a.m. low there, just the same as the DAX has done, and then we've closed back inside that point at 8:15. So that would potentially be an area for me where I'd be thinking like, right, okay, if we push down and failed and we're back in the 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. block, that's the first bullish sign of context that I would need to see to be thinking this could potentially go. We've been underneath the massive daily level, like Kurt says. He's pointed out that's a great point. And then you'd be looking at maybe like this creating the range again, wouldn't you, and going back up. It would definitely be worth a decent point, that would. Decent punt, sorry. Now, the next point you would want to see is a leg out and then a pullback. And then in that pullback area, if we get the leg out, that's where I'd be looking at getting long. I won't be doing because it's not part of my strategy, but that's what I would be thinking today. But that to me strikes me there. Like, that push down and failure. If you had delta bars and stuff like that, and you could see who was short in here and how many people were short, and if there was a trap there, that'd be really interesting. Look at that on the smaller time frame. Again, just like the DAX, we get the push down. It's a bear trap, a fake out, and then once we get the close back in here, or this bar, and we take out this high. Like for me, that's acceptable risk reward to target number one, the other side, and then obviously you'd be hoping that we get an expansive leg out now and push up. So that's how I try and build context into my trades on the smaller time frames with, you know, that big level in play, and that's how I would try and play it if I was trading it. Whether that helps somebody or not, I don't know. Yeah, let's just get these pivot points off, guys. So yes, I don't know what to do. Would a trade set up here for me? Let me just have a quick look. If we break the bottom of this balance, I don't think it would be. Maybe. Let's have a look, see how it goes. Could potentially be a short here, but I wouldn't want to just take the first close through it. We need to see something like yesterday where we push out and then we pull back and then roll over. What's the Dow doing? See, this would be a massive trap, wouldn't it, for all the bulls today? Like if we come into the US and we're opening up here underneath this level, I would say that's really, really bearish for the US markets, and it might mean nothing and we could just punt up. But if we open up in this area in the Dow and all this here has just been a massive trap, then it's highly probable that I think we're going to really shit the bed and come down into this point. But that is just completely you know, me having a think of what could potentially happen. It might not happen, so don't obviously punt into it thinking it can. But I would be very bearish if we opened up back inside this block after going out of it. I really would, because for me, I think that these lows here and these lows here, they're going to have a sniff at them. Then I would look at it as in bulls have dropped the ball, and obviously the bears would obviously jump in, I'm thinking, and try and make the most of it. Let's see what happens. Karen Volman is great for scalp strats. Right, okay. I need to see this Volman guy. What's his name? What are his books? Can anybody point out? Is he on YouTube or has he got books and stuff? Bob Volman. Have a look at that if anybody's interested. Anything's possible, Kurt. Who knows? It could be, but I just look at that level as being an important base for bulls to work off of. Once we take out the first resistance point, for me, you know, like, you've got to be careful if you're short, haven't you? We've taken out resistance in the Dow overnight. Now, if we get back into there, that looks like a failure to me. That does. So we'll have to see where we open and how the open is. We'll have to work out how the initial balance is on the Dow and stuff like that and see what happens. I don't know. But I would just see that as bearish. That level's important. You know, like, that was a major resistance level to the market yesterday. And for us to have got above it, and then if we open back up inside it, and then obviously we break the Dow, if the Dow sets up an IB, its first 15 minutes, and we break those IBs to the downside, then obviously, you know, you've really got to look out below, I think. Could that not happen at all? Could all of that just be reversed? Yes, definitely. All sorts of shenanigans are going to happen here in both directions. Sierra, what you seeing? On all the markets, you mean? It's all over the shop, isn't it? Bob Ullman. Understanding Price Action is the book, guys. Forex price action scalping. Yeah, be careful though if you've not scalped before. It's crack cocaine, that is, guys. Seriously. You've got to be very, very, very in control of yourself. So easy to get suckered into stuff. And just think that there's opportunities there all the time. When I don't think scalping's really like that. I think even if you, like, you know, like you're a real scalper, you might only get like 2 or 3 or 4 maybe proper opportunities a day. You probably have to say no to a lot more than you say yes to. And it's just having that emotional sort of maturity to not take every one, because if you take every one of anything, I guarantee you'll lose. But that's the difference between, you know, like, I think these guys, most of them that I see, I think, is it Al Brooks? Right. If you look at Al Brooks, he's potentially, I don't know if it's been proven or anything like that. I've never seen any broker statements from him and stuff, but he's potentially a scalper. But when you hear him talk and how he is and his personality, you can see that he's very, very mature. He talks a bit like a robot, and I think that he probably would. When I listen to it on YouTube, his personality would come to me as if like he probably could be a scalper, and he probably could have the maturity to just pick the better setups and keep away from the winners. I think if you've got a personality where you're like, like you're very sort of excitable, probably a bit like me, maybe a bit daft, like ready to just, always be in the heat of battle and have a personality where you're more of a fighter and you enjoy the heat of battle, you probably won't do very well. I think if you can be a bit more robotic and a bit more in control and maybe a bit more mature. I'm sorry to maybe drop Mark Wogan's age into this, but he is older than me. I think you need that maturity, because we can all scalp and we can all trade, but it's about saying no constantly to the ones that you shouldn't get into. And I found that I could do it for don't get me wrong, I will still scalp. I will still do it, but it's when I'm sitting there all day and doing it that's where I find I get undone. I will see the odd scalp set up on the Dow, and I will jump on and do it. On my proper account, I'll take it. But it's when I'm sitting there all day, with my finger on the mouse, waiting for something to happen. That's where it sort of all starts to unravel for me, and especially on the days when it's just not there, and I might have taken 2 losers early on. That's when I start to try and push it and make mistakes. So it's just emotional maturity, really. Scalping is addictive. I think it is, but if you haven't got an addictive personality, David, then it's potentially, you can potentially do amazing. But I think it is. It did feel like that for me, which is why I took myself off it and built the strategy that I've got, and took the time to do it, basically, because this isn't scalping. What I'm doing isn't scalping. It's just trying to pick certain points in the day where I know that I'll be wrong very quickly, but if I'm right, the risk reward is potentially way bigger than my risk that I've got onto the trade. That's all I try and do now. And I don't need to be in front of the computer all day if I don't want to. I can sit there and watch it, obviously, but if I don't need to be, I don't have to be. I can put alerts in, and I can sort of, be not as involved with the actual sitting and staring at the bars. But I think that's the case. It can be addictive. David makes a good point. But if you've got the emotional maturity, you've got the ability. You can change your bias quickly. You've got no bias, and you can deal with the setups being there all day, and you enjoy sitting in front of the computer. Then why the hell not? I'm not saying that people shouldn't scalp. They should. If you're good at it, do it. Get amongst it. You'll probably make way more money than me. Way more money. One of the big traders that I've been speaking to, I think he's active in the market most of the morning and most of the afternoon. From what I've been hearing. He's trading. He's definitely trading. He's trading different markets. Different. He's after volatility. That's all he wants. So, the bigger guys, the guys that I know, I think he's the biggest trader that I know. He's actively trading like that. I don't know if you'd call it scalping, but he's actively trading all day, and I think he's discretionary, and he's in the markets all day. Balls deep, everything. So if that's what's going, if he's a professional trader, by the way, a proper professional trader, then if he's doing that, then people are doing it, people are earning big money from it. So it doesn't not work. I just think it takes a very special personality who's got the maturity and the experience to actually do it. I probably haven't got that, by the way. I'm not afraid to admit that either. You should just do what you're good at, really. I spent a lot of time banging my head against the brick wall scalping. I've told you all before, and it come down to the point for me where I just didn't feel comfortable because I didn't. At the end of the day, I didn't know where I'd made my money from. There was like that many trades that if I was up, I'd just be like, well, I'm up. Well, that worried me because I'm like, I don't know how I've made any money, but I have done. So it didn't fill me with confidence that I would be able to work out why I'd lost money on the losing days. Yesterday in the DAX was an inside day. This morning during the IB we've seen a failed break of the inside day high. For me there's now a high probability it will run lower to that inside day low. Nice Lucas. Thanks for putting that on. See, that's good context. It's great context, that is. That for me that's how I like to trade. Have a context, have something that you can sort of lean on. Have you got your stats for the inside day stuff, Lucas? Have you actually got a spreadsheet and statted it out to give you the probability of that happening? If you have, let me know, because that's good. You would have to think that if this consolidates underneath here and we get the rollover, these lows here on the DAX are going to get tested. Definitely, that would be my first reference point down here. The daily looks absolutely terrible. It really does. It really does. It looks like absolute shit on the daily. Look at that. Look at all of this just building. I don't, me personally though, if I'm being honest with you, I just don't see them letting it happen. Now I don't know if something's changed lately. Policies have changed and stuff, because something just does not feel right with these markets. It just doesn't. I don't know what it is. I aren't any, like a big fundamental trader that can explain everything. But I will say this, and I've said it from this point here. If you look at my Twitter going back, I'm saying like the DAX, I trade it every day. I'm in this market every day. Something does not feel right. Even when we were going up, it just never felt right to me. And like I said yesterday, you'd have these big explosions, like these big daily moves, and then it'd just stop. And it would just all dry up and then would reverse. But it's not a healthy market to me. It just doesn't feel right, and I don't know what's going on. But I can feel it, and like when we're moving down, you can feel what's going on. Something just doesn't feel right. And I do not know what it is. Could this be the top? It definitely could. But could it also just go straight back up again and break these highs here after breaking through this low? That could happen. So you just got to trade what happens and not try and be guessing about the longer term. But I would say, if I was a betting man, I would say that this potentially could be a top, and they're going to have to do something. Something's going to have to come out. Like we're going to have to do more QE, or there's going to have to be new stimulus, or there's going to have to be something that changes this. I don't know what it will be. You've got to obviously keep your ears to the ground for it, but unless something new comes, I just see that. I'm sorry to go down the rabbit hole here, but all the money that's been printed over the last year, if you look back at it since Corona, this is what it's got. Okay, so this is what's happened. This is on all the money printing. We've moved up and we've moved up and we've moved up, and it's like, I look at it like a heroin addict. So this is the heroin addict getting his fresh shot. Yeah, he's got his shot, and now he's partying. He's in the club. He's dancing. He's having a great time. He's doing a bit of coke. His heart beats up. And then, wow, right, okay. So he's starting to sober up here. He thinks he needs another line of coke. He thinks he needs another shot of whatever he's got. He might need another beer. And now he's in the after party. He's thinking to himself, fucking hell, I need to go home. Like, I'm going to have to go home. I've got to go work tomorrow. I can't sit here any longer. And now this is the point where, like the central bankers come in and say, actually, you can carry on. I've just been to the dealer and I've just got myself another 8 for another quarter or another gram of whatever it is. And, I can give it to you. This is the stimulus that you need. And we can go out and party again. We can do it. We can keep going. I think that that's what's going to happen. And it will probably happen if these lows get broken here. At this point, if we break these lows here and they don't do anything or offer anything new, or give anybody any new injections of stimulus, then this is obviously, I think, going to be a massive top. If we break these lows here and they change policy or they do something else, like make it interest rates -5%, or bring some sort of like green stimulus in to give everybody free money again and give all businesses, because anything can happen, and I think they will try anything. But I think it will happen if we break these lows. So that's something to look out for. But for me, this just does not look right. It would just worry me. And if I'm a central banker sat here, I'm thinking, right, what am I going to do? Do we let the ball drop? Do we let it go? Have mass rioting? Have mass social unrest as everything's costing more and people have got, nobody's earnings have gone up, but everything's costing everybody more now because everything's gone up. Are we okay with that? The implications of that as a society? Or are we going to just inject more stimulus and come up with something crazy and push us back up to new highs again? It's something to watch. That's how I look at it. This here is the after party. You're looking at it and you're thinking, fucking hell, I've got to go home soon. I've been there myself. I've been there after having a massive party and you're thinking, oh my God. The sun's coming up, you're looking through the curtains and you're thinking, oh God, I've got to call a taxi at 7 o'clock in the morning. I feel dreadful. This is it. And this is what they've done. So that's something to think about. But I don't trade off that and I won't be taking any pointers off it. It's just how I see it. How I see the big shit show that we're in. It's going to be interesting, if anything. I do try and keep my eye on the ball and watch all of the economic stuff. I like that Jeff Gundlach and Daniel DiMartino Booth. They did an interview. I really enjoyed that. It was amazing. And he's mega bearish. He's mega bearish the dollar. He was saying the dollar's done. So if you look at the video that he did 2 weeks ago with Daniel DiMartino Booth, it's on YouTube. It's really interesting. But at the end, he's like, I'm mega bearish the dollar. Look at what the dollar's done since he said that. It's just gone vertical. So it's all very, 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 tough to. He's he's a billionaire. He's one of the best. I don't know if he says it and he's doing the opposite though. Who knows. But it's tough the macro side of it and the bigger picture is so tough to try and nail down. I take my hat off to anybody that can do it because you're really good. You must know what you're talking about. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. But we'll trade it either way, long or short, and just try and jump on the flow of whatever we get, whatever comes our way. Talking from experience. Yeah, I am, to be fair. I've been there, trust me. I've been there. Can you recommend any economy newsletters? Sorry, Matty. I don't like to read them. I'm more of I like put it on in the bath, or if I'm going to bed at night, I'll just have it on. So I really like, people say Real Vision's rubbish. I don't think it is. I think Raoul really knows what he's talking about. I think he does try and shill a lot of his stuff though. He definitely does. He will try and point you into having the subscriptions for $500. He's definitely a bit of a shiller. But if you can move away from all of that and listen to Raoul's actual sort of macro views, he's very, very sharp. He's pretty good. I like listening to him. I don't pay for his stuff though. I just listen to the free ones he does. He does a free daily briefing every couple of weeks on a Friday. So I listen to that on a Saturday morning. But the one that I really, really enjoy is called Macro Voices. And it's a podcast. Very, very good. Very interesting. They have some fabulous guests on. And it's free. You don't have to pay for anything. It's normally about an hour long. I really like that. It's very interesting. Let me just see if I can get it up. But if you can Google it, it's Macro Voices, and it's like a blue. It's a blue sort of podcast picture. Very good. Very, very interesting. He has some fantastic guests on, as I've said. I'm trying to think of a few that I can pluck from you. Pippa Malmgren, she's fantastic. I think she used to be an advisor of the president's. Her dad, Harold Malmgren, was an advisor of Ronald Reagan, I think, in the US administration. Her geopolitically, how she views the world and the things that she says, she's fantastic. She really is. I've got one of her books called Shrinkflation. It's very interesting, and she's very, very, very clued up. And she's she's not trying to ever sell you anything. Like a lot of them go on there to try and sell you something. She's not. She's just to the point. She's great. I like her, and I like Daniel DiMartino Booth as well. She's good. She's a bit of a MILF as well, so that helps with the viewing. No, she's not. She's good though. She used to be a Dallas Fed chairwoman, I think. So she's cool. She just beats looking at like some grumpy old man who's like grey, like 70 years old, who's just like Jim Richards, that type of a guy. Daniel DiMartino Booth, compared to him, is just a breath of fresh air. They both have similar views, but I would pick, if I wanted to sit and listen to anybody, I'd pick Danielle, because she's just a bit more on it, and she's like, I think she's like 45, 50. So she's cool, she's good. Check her out on YouTube. They're all good, they are. And they're free as well, guys. So don't pay for any of it. Keep your money. Don't pay for any of it. There's so much stuff on YouTube where people are doing free stuff that you don't need to pay for anything for that side of things anymore. You just don't. You can get what's going on from the free stuff. You don't need to, keep your powders right. Steve, is that laughing at me? Yeah, I hope my wife's not listening. She does listen sometimes, She'll be alright. Raul has changed. I think so. I don't know what's going on with him. I've watched Real Vision for years and years and years, 5 or 6 years since it first come out, and I really appreciate what he's done, because you can't fault the guy, can you? Because he is prepared to come out and do stuff for free, and obviously his time's valuable. He's I don't know if he's a billionaire. He's obviously a millionaire. He owns his own island in the Cayman Islands, but yeah, he has gone a bit shilly. Like, he is trying to shill a bit now. But that's what success does to you, doesn't it? He's obviously making really good money off all the crypto stuff that Real Vision are doing, and I imagine he's getting very well paid by his subscription fees and stuff like that. So that's obviously what's happened. But I do still appreciate that he comes on and gives you his viewpoints for free. I think it's like every 2 weeks he might do it. So he does do the odd thing for free. I think you can get just as much value out of his free stuff than you can of actually paying for Real Vision. But what I do with Real Vision is, listen to this, right? They give you, every so often, they give you a 7-day free trial. So they won't. You can just use a different name, and you can use a different credit card or a different bank card, or you can use your wife's, or you might be able to use a family member's, and it's free for 7 days. So you put your credit card details in. You have a full 6 days purging it all, and you can do it like every quarter, and that's what I do. And then I try and catch up with the videos. They're normally about an hour long, and they have special guests on, and it's nice to look back over the last quarter. So, like, let's say we get to October, November, I might use a debit card or my wife's one, or another one that I haven't used, with a new name and a new email address, and it's dead easy to cancel. So that's what I do. They give you 7 days free. Watch all the videos you want, and then on the 6th day, make sure you just cancel it, and your card doesn't get charged. I think they charge you $1 for it, and I think it's worth $1 for 7 days worth of entertainment. So Real Vision, have a look at that. If you don't want to pay for it, they do a 7-day free trial where you put your card in, and they don't charge your card. I think you get charged $1 for it. It's worth it. It definitely is. And who knows, you might even subscribe, because it is actually pretty good. Some of the guests are good. And I think they've got one with Daniel Eckhart on now. He's the Facebook psychological guy, I think, if I'm right, who does like all about the, like the smart sort of learning about how Facebook learn about you, and behavioural economics, that's what it's called. So I'm looking forward to that one, but I'll just give it another month before I get my free trial again. Raul Pal, I think, Dave, that's who we're talking about, pal. Today's close could crystallise first bearish outside month on the indexes since the pandemic started. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It is the end of month. So how are we looking on the monthly? Good point, by the way. Good point, Nick. Like, you're looking at that, aren't you, there, and you're thinking to yourself, Jesus Christ, look at that. Bearish engulfing on the monthly after a massive run up. My stomach again, guys. Look at that. Now, it looks dreadful. Could it mean absolutely nothing, though? Yes, like you would be looking... I don't know. This here was this one. Look at that there. So you're looking at that. Let's forget this one here and look at this one here. I would be thinking to myself here on the 1st of January 2021, now if everybody's with me on this, you would just be thinking to yourself, wouldn't you, that we've got the high here from 18, we've pinned through it here and failed on the 1st of February, and this here, the 1st of December, is a trap. We go through that high there, we get the pin bar and also the failure, the close back inside, and you're thinking to yourself that this is just this here, because you haven't seen any of this, this is going to come here and test these lows and these lows, and we're going to shit the bed. Like I would, like in hindsight, if you forget that there and you're just looking at this candle here, you'd be thinking to yourself, right, okay, this thing's going to really crack off to the downside. But look, it just, just crazy again, straight up. So you have to take that into account. Now, yes, this looks ugly, but could this just mean absolutely nothing and we just go straight back up? Who knows? So trade, got to take everything into account. That it does look bad though. It does. It really does. Let me just draw that IV back in. Let's see what happens. Daniel Kahneman, be worth a watch. That's the guy, that's him. Yeah, Daniel Kahneman, that's him. Behavioural economics guy. I don't know if anybody will get any edge from it. You probably won't. But I do want to watch it. I will flick on there and watch it. Peter Schiff podcast, always good to get the bear case, but something of a broken record. He will probably be proven right, but the market has multi-bag since he got the... Yeah. He's similar to Northman Trader. I was in Northman's group in 2014, and that guy was telling me that the top was in, like every day on his Twitter feed. The top's in, this is it, it's done, the markets are over. We're now in 2021, and it's gone up nearly 10 times. The Nasdaq's, it's just absolutely rocketed up. And he was calling the top in 2014. And I know somebody that was in there in 2016, 2017, and he was still calling the top then. He was still saying the top's in. So these guys will be right eventually. And I can guarantee what will happen. They will be right, and they'll be like laughing at bulls. They'll be tweeting like bear sort of videos of like bears destroying bulls and stuff like that because they've had like a 5% down move. But he's been trying to get short since 2014, and I imagine Peter Schiff has too. Like, they have. I was in Northman's room, and he's on CNBC. He's on CNBC talking about trading, and he knows absolutely nothing about the markets but to be short, and it's all going to collapse, and it's all going to be an economic disaster. But he's been saying it for so long now that his opinion doesn't even mean anything because he's so far wrong. It's unbelievable. But nobody points out, like CNBC won't say to him, well, Northman, we have a tweet from 2014, and you were saying the same thing then. No, because it's like they have him on whenever they want to try and sell some fear, and he just comes on. It's like an advertisement for fear. They'll throw him on, throw him $1,000 or whatever, listen to him for 5 minutes, and it's like, oh God, like this guy's called the top. This guy's called the top for years. He's been wrong every single month of every year since. I do like Peter Schiff though. A lot of his points make sense, but they mean nothing, right? This is the thing with Northman and Peter Schiff. From a perfect fundamental perspective, they are right in what they're saying, but they are wrong in their trade execution because the Fed, the ECB, the BOJ, the BOE, don't care about what they're saying about the economy. They don't care about what they're saying about how the markets look. They're just making sure that the markets are going higher because they've obviously got it in their mandate to do that. For whatever reason, we don't know. But without them doing that, yes, Northman Trader and Peter Schiff would be right. They would be. But this is how moronic it is that they can see that the Fed and the BOJ and all the central banks are doing this to the markets, and they still say like the markets are going to collapse, they should collapse. They're not going to, are they, until they step away or until they let the markets go. Like, it's not going to happen. It just isn't. Why would they let it happen when they've brought it up so far? Now, yes, they could change course, and you will see that when that happens, the markets will let go. It will be the biggest, the biggest economic disaster that we've ever seen. Definitely. Why? Because we've never been so high. So we will. I don't think we'll probably have the biggest bear market we've ever seen. We probably will do. It will be a massive shit show. But until that happens, the party just carries on. And they think that they're obviously very intelligent people because of how they talk about the markets and the points that they make. They're very, very high IQ guys. But what they don't take into account is that the Fed are just keeping the market up, and they're basically arguing with somebody who's got unlimited money to do that. So it's like, well, what's the point? You can say that we've got RSI divergence, like Northie's a massive one of that. Like if you look at his charts, he's like, oh, we've got RSI divergence. This is a top, this is a short. Yeah, but we've got the Fed underneath the market who are buying every move down with unlimited money that will do anything. So your RSI divergence means absolutely nothing because the bigger picture is that the Fed have got the printer out and they don't give a shit about your RSI. They don't give a shit about your trend line break. They just don't. Like that might work once every 20 times, but it's a losing strategy to try and argue with the central banks and think that you're going to be right because you're clever and you've worked out that, from a fundamental, point, we shouldn't be this high, but we are this high. Just, I sit there and listen to them and I'm like, you're so deluded. It's unbelievable. You should have just been long. I wasn't long. I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room and I've been long all the way up. I haven't. But I haven't been short. I haven't been calling the top since 2014. So, does that make me smarter than them? I don't know. But I haven't been calling the top for 7 years like them. Yeah, he did. He's predicted 50 of the last 2 crashes. The thing is, though, right, Steve, he's got a massive group. If you look at his... Even in 2014, when I was in his Twitter group, I think there was 90 people in there, and I think it was costing me... I think it was £60 a month, or 40. I think it started at 40, and then when he put it up to 60, I was like, I've not made any money. This is crazy. But I think it's 90 now. So he's moving up with inflation. He really is. Can you fault him, really? If people are willing to pay to listen to that bearish dribble? No, whatever floats people's boat. If they're sitting, if they want to listen to that and they're prepared to pay for it, and the thing that irks me with him though is he makes out he can trade and he can't. But a lot of the people don't really subscribe for his trade calls like I was doing. They just subscribe to listen to the bearish drivel that he goes on about, and I think they like it. They're willing to sit there and pay for it and listen to it. I don't know why. There's some strange people about, but they are. Like the bulk of people that were in his room when I was in it, they weren't trading. They were just listening to all of the the newsletters that he'd put out every day, full of the bear porn, and they loved it. They've made absolutely no money in the biggest bull run that we've ever seen. They've made nothing though, but they've been paying for it. So I don't know. John Hardy, Saxo Bank, and Mark Chandler. Mark making sense, decent macro commentary. I haven't seen them, Mark. I'll have a look at them. SPX has just put on the fastest 100% gain ever. You'd at least have a chance of being a bear here. So what are you saying then, Wulong Gabba? That you're thinking that it's a short here and this is the top? It definitely could be. It definitely could be. This could be the top. It definitely could be. It looks like it could be. It looks like it's just ran out of steam. But my point is that technically it looks bearish as hell. But we've seen so many other points, inflection points, where we've thought the top was in and it looks bearish as hell. And it's not been the top because they've added more stimulus. They've done something fundamentally to make sure that the shit show carries on. Now, my point is, until that happens, then I don't think we've probably seen the top. Now, you've got to be very on the ball and listening to what the central bankers are saying and what they're going to do. But I would be very surprised if they didn't have one more punt at it if we pushed down and broke some major lows, some major levels, if they didn't, magic up more stimulus. The Democrats are in America. They love that type of shit. I just think that they will do. So I would say that it would be a massive buy opportunity more than anything. If like when you get, I was talking to somebody last night about it, and the buys, if you could just buy the dip with the S&P or the Dow or the American markets, most people know when the big dips are on. You get the rundown, and I've said it before. Like, markets don't crash from highs; they crash from lows. I don't know if people get what I'm saying there. Markets crash from oversold positions. They don't crash from overbought positions. Most people are like trying to short new highs, and the crashes happen from oversold positions where you just can't get a bid, where it just keeps going down. We might get a 500 down day. We might get a 700 down day. We might get another 700 down day. Then another 500 down day, and then we break the big moving averages, and then we get a consolidation, and we just can't get a bid, and that's when the major, the 1,500 to 2,000 point down day will come. It doesn't come from the highs. It doesn't happen like that. But most people think it doesn't. It doesn't. You don't crash from the highs. You crash from lows, making lower lows, and then it crashes. You get the massive flush. But I will be a buyer, definitely. If we see that massive flush day where you get like, you've had a couple of weeks of down, consolidate, and then you get the big day where you get the massive vol flush, where you probably get 2,000 points on the Dow at the moment. I'd say that would be a buying opportunity, and it normally happens in the same day where you flush it massively, and on the same day it gets back to where it opened up, and you get the massive reversal happen. You've just got to hold your nose and buy in that on that day. You've got to have your money ready. I don't know how much, people want to punt into it, but for me it'd be something like 5k or something like that, and just buy the best. Go and buy, like a bit of Facebook, a bit, buy anything. Just hold your nose, close your eyes, pray to God and buy. And it doesn't really matter what you buy on them days. There's a high probability that you will make money over the next month, and then just scale out of it as we push higher. I think you can do that definitely, and you can have you could be like a really good stock trader by just doing that one trade a year, just having the patience to wait for a proper flush. Markets in Turmoil comes on CNBC. They're wheeling all the bears out, saying the end of the world's here, it's done. At that point, if you just close your nose, close your eyes and buy, and hold your nose, it's definitely a winning strategy, that is. But people haven't got the patience for it. Everybody just wants to buy. Buying the dip is the key, I think, to being an investor, and having the patience to sit there and wait it out. I managed to get some British Airways, some EasyJet and some Carnival in the coronavirus massive dip. And I've scaled out of like 2 or 3 of them. I think I've still got my full Carnival, but I've scaled out of EasyJet and British Airways. And it's just been an amazing trade. I was slightly underwater on the 3 about 2 weeks ago for the first time in ages, but now they're back up again. They're like, when you're buying these massive dips, it's just you just give yourself the best possibility of making money over the next 6 months to 12 months, because yes, the market can go lower from there, obviously, and you might just get it wrong. But if you're buying something after a 40 or 50 or 60% haircut in a sale, you could probably argue the path of least resistance is then to the upside, because is there anybody else willing to sell after that point, after you've had that massive smash down? But the thing is, it's the hardest thing to do, that is. Most people don't do it. Most people can't do it, because you do think that the world's ending. And this is how the media, like CNBC, you'll see it all on the media. It'll be on the BBC that the markets have crashed, the Dow, the S&P's down. But they're normally inflection points. It's the old saying, isn't it? Like when you see a Barron's cover about a crisis, it's the end of the crisis. Or if you see, like the fuel crisis at the moment's everywhere, and it's on Sky News, it's on the BBC, like that's probably the end of it now. Like the normal playbook is now that was the very bottom of that scare, and now it will sort itself out. But it takes you've got to be very, very sort of head sure, and just make sure that you plan it all out beforehand, and you've got a plan. So you should have a big dip plan in your trade book, basically. Make it part of your playbook, that when you get a big dip, you've got cash on the hip, saved, there, ready to deploy. You know the companies that you want to buy before it happens, and you're not waiting for any particular price point, you're just waiting for that big flush day, and just go and buy some. Yeah, so you're up, are you? You've got BP and Shell, have you? Oil tanked. Yeah, so that's it. That's it, basically. Buy the dips. It really is. It's just, it's the hardest, easiest money ever. On my BA and EasyJet and Carnival shares, I've done really well out of them, and I've never seen really any drawdown, none. But because it basically just waited for the right time to buy in the big dip. Close your eyes and just get on board. If you've got a few 100k, then it's the best way besides day trading part of your portfolio. Wealth is generated when you're not doing anything. It definitely is, WB, yeah. You've got to have big cojones though to be deploying a few 100k. I mean, obviously I don't know what other people's wealth is, but that would be way beyond my limits. Way beyond my limits. Like my account's nowhere near that big, so, and I certainly wouldn't have that much money to sort of deploy at that point in time. Right, so Ian's in. He's got that money though. He's got that type of money. Bottoms in when your mum tells you the stock market is crashing. Yeah, all these things, all these indicators, they're all there. They all tend to happen. The rebound on oil is mad this year. That oil was absolutely crazy, wasn't it? To go from negative to where we are now, Dave, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Like, imagine that trade. Imagine that for a trade. To just get long oil when it went negative and just sit there and have the patience to do nothing. You will have, like, it's just unbelievable the amount of percentage gain that you could have made. If your risk would have been so small, but at the time nobody thought like doing it. I didn't feel like doing it. I was thinking like this could go negative $1,000 or like negative. Like who knows? All the media was out, but they're the perfect timers when that starts to happen. To think like that is the perfect time to take the other side of that bet. Oil is crazy, absolutely crazy, and I think Dave, I think oil could nearly double from here. I do. I think we could go back up to like 140 again. Definitely, it looks really, really bullish. It really does. It'd be amazing if it went from negative to right up to the top side of the high of the range, wouldn't it? But it could do. It wouldn't surprise me if oil did that. I day trade like I got 200k. Control that risk, dude. You got to control your risk because eventually you get caught out if you're not. Definitely. You got to control that risk every day if you're day trading. That is the key. Yeah, you're thinking 150 for oil. Yeah, me too. I follow a guy called Trading Channels, Borak, and he's done some YouTube videos. He's very good technically. And he's been calling for oil at 140 for ages. I do enjoy his videos. He's one person that I do enjoy. Now he's got his own room, his own like subscribers where people pay and they have it. Now I don't know if he makes any money himself or he's actively trading himself. I don't know. I really don't. But I do sometimes watch his YouTube videos that he puts on. He puts on YouTube. Trading Channels, I think it's called, and he just uses trend lines, like major macro trend lines, and he tends to seem to get a good read. But I will say this: he's been wrong on the pound and the dollar. He's been calling for a higher pound, and he was saying that we would go up to 150, and the pound and the euro that he was calling for have been taken out of shot. But that's just risk reward, isn't it? We were all wrong about stuff, but he has been saying that oil was getting higher for a long time on his video. So that's a great spot that he got right. I couldn't see it, but it has done. Let's just get rid of all these lines. Just does look like that, doesn't it? It really does look like we could just probe and rip up. If you just take that into account there, this formation, this high, this big V, and this high here. Doesn't mean it will do, but I would be very surprised if we bulged through that line there. And then obviously if we retested it as well, that might be a lovely buy entry to target these highs up here. So if you're looking, you'd wait for a decent leg through and then come back down on the retest. And it might be a nice swing position if you get like a weekly pin bar, a run up and then a rotation back down and a weekly pin bar into that level. And you could target that level there for your first swing trade scale out. That's how I'd be viewing it. But this here, this looks really bullish. It just looks like a big V formation. So if we get above there and we roll back down and retest it, that's a lovely long area. That would be for me, how I trade. So as you can see, guys, there's nothing happening on this DAX here at all. Nothing. It just looks like it's rubbish. Gotta go, bud. Yeah, me too. Yes, guys, so thank you for stopping in. I'm going to call it a day here because there's nothing happening again, and it will give me a bit of time to go and have a run and get out and about. I'm going to have an alert, and I've got my alert already set for the high. I'll just put my alert in for the low here. See what happens. Let's just get it in. Price level 56. 135.356. Alert set. Awesome. Brilliant. So I will do nothing at this moment in time because we're stuck in the middle of this balance. There's nothing that screams out to me to do anything. I would like to see either a move out and a pullback or a move out here and a pullback to get short. But that might not happen, so we'll just have to play it as we see it. But thank you very much for stopping in. And I hope to see you all again tomorrow for the end of the week. But stay safe today. I will say this, right? Be careful because it's the end of the quarter and the end of the month. So have that in mind with any potential moves late on in the day. It can go crazy. It really can. So maybe if you haven't found a trade by 5 or 6 o'clock, or you're not in a trade, maybe try and just keep your powder dry because at the end of day and then the end of month quarters, I'm not saying it will definitely happen, but they can be a little bit volatile. So just be careful. I wouldn't want to see anybody getting wiped out or anything like that, or getting on the wrong side of one of them moves. So just be careful. There's always tomorrow, and tomorrow's the start of a new month. So let's just make sure we're all careful, and see you back here tomorrow. Have a good day. Take care, guys. Well, quick question. What you go to bed and wake up? I go to bed at 9 and I wake up about 5:30. Demo trader, but thanks for your question. And I will see you back here tomorrow. I don't know if that can help you or not. See you later, dude.